Well, hi, everybody. It's time for another Time with Teepa. And I've been asked recently several times, could you do those hand motions for the different parts of the brain and what they do? Because you do all those hand motions. And it's true. I use my hands as a tool to hold on to things because by doing something while you say something, while you see something, improves the synaptic connection. So there's a better chance that when you put all those patterns together, you'll be able to hold on to the information. So one of the things people ask about is brain parts. How do you learn and hold on to what all the different brain parts do? So I use my hands as an assist. So what I'll do is I'll take my hands and I'll go, this is your cortical brain, your thinking brain, the brain that takes in data by using the various senses and your sensory intake system to take in the data, process the data, think about the data, and respond to the data. So the corpus callosum, oh, well, that's inside. So now we've got to dig a little deeper. So we've got our cortical brain and we have our primitive brain, and it's inside the cortical brain. So the primitive brain is the engine that runs you. So you'll notice I brought my hands together into fists. I took my index fingers and made little hooks with them, and then I can pop my thumb up. And what I'll do is I go rum, rum to signify the limbic system, the primitive brain, which is the engine. So it's the engine that keeps you going, whether you're awake, whether you're asleep. It includes some parts like the medulla oblongata, which keeps your heart beating, keeps you breathing, and it's through wiring, but it also can include some other parts. Now I'm going to pause. I'm going to show you a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's an image. And this first image, this is called a PET scan, and it lets us look at living brains. And we look at both structures, but we look at chemistry. And in this case, how much glucose is that part of your brain burning and fueling up in order to have activity in that area? So where you see red, there's a fair amount of activity. Yellow, a little bit of activity. Light green, just enough activity. In the dark blue areas here, I mean, these aren't real colors. This is man-made topography, so we understand. These areas, though, those are open areas of brain, the ventricles, where you have fluid that cleans your brain. And then this is the front of your brain. Here are your temporal lobes. This is the sensory motor map of the body up on the brain. And this is vision back here. Now, inside here, that's your limbic system, the primitive brain. And so when I take my hands and I do this with them, these little index fingers are these hippocampal areas on the inside of your temporal lobes. My knuckles, my index finger knuckle area, that's the thalamic connection. Now, that's a fancy word, thalamic connection. What it means, it's the wiring in my brain that helps control blood pressure, blood sugar, heart rate, respiratory rate, temperature regulation, wake sleep cycling, things like pain recognition and reaction kinds of things. And where that is in your brain, like if you imagine those little red dots for my index fingertips, these are the knuckles. That's the thalamic hypothalamic wiring. These guys here, these guys down here, pop your thumbs up. Those are your amygdalae, threat perceivers. So these amygdalae, these little amygdalae, are your survivors. So if we were to take my hands, I'm going to go back to big screen. I'm talking about this chunk of brain. I'm going to show you how I use my hands to help hold on to this stuff. Because to me, this helps me remember the map. Hippocampal areas, the wiggly fingertips, the knuckles, thalamic connections, amygdalae, threat perceiver, among other things. but my survivor instinct, the trigger for survival. So I'm going to take away the picture so you can look at me more clearly. So we have the limbic system, the primitive brain, inside the cortical system. We have the thalamic. Wait, where were they? Now you saw when I moved my index fingers, but I said thalamic. That should have been in your mind. Wait a minute, that's not right. Good, you're right. These are the hippocampal areas. These are the thalamic areas. This part right here in the picture. And my thumb's amygdala. So what do your hippocampal areas do? And if we were to place them in your brain, put your index fingers to your temples, tip your hands up like this, and if you were to shove in about an inch, you'd hit those little areas, which we saw. Your hippocampal areas, talk too much about the thalamic. My hippocampal areas are in charge of three things. First thing, take your index fingers and go, learn and remember what you learn. Learn and remember what you learn. That's the first thing they're in charge of. Second thing they're in charge of, go from here to there, turn around and come back. Go from here to there, turn around and come back. We call it wayfinding or spatial orientation. How do I go from one location to another location and then go from that location back to where I started? And so your fingers go from here to there and back, wayfinding. Then the third thing your hippocampal area is good at, tap your wristwatch and say, help you keep up with the passage of time. Help you keep up with the passage of time. How long has it been since? How long since I took a shower? How long since I brushed my teeth? How long since I saw somebody? How long since I was 15? How long since? Temporal orientation. Where am I in time? How long has it been since? So that's my hippocampal areas. Let's talk about your amygdala. Now, your amygdala, three major functions. Notice how I'll say three major functions. Hold up those three fingers. The first function, and I'll do this motion, threat perceiver. Is there a threat out there? Because if I miss a threat, I won't survive. And your amygdala are all about helping you survive as you. Survive as you. So, threat perceiver. Second thing that it's good at, needs meter. I've got to get my needs met. So now take your thumbs and go, meet my needs. I've got to get my needs met or I'll die, which is all true. So number of needs, I have to get them met or I'll die. Although sometimes in order to preserve me as me, I think I have a need and it's really a like or a want. We'll talk more about that at another time. Third thing that my amygdala does in order to survive is humans have to find pleasure. So I have to find satisfaction. So it's a pleasure seeker. I seek things that make me satisfied, make me feel good. Now, they may or may not be good for me, but they make me feel good. And it turns out humans need something that makes them feel good every day, or they cease to thrive and they will not survive. Failure to thrive syndrome. So what you have is the hand motions I use to talk about the primitive brain functions. Now, for the amygdala, to go over them, it's threat perceiver, needs meter, pleasure seeker. Those are the three skills. For threat perceiver, I have 5 abilities in the amygdala to deal with threat. So when I feel threatened, there'll be reactions to the sense of being threatened because that's my amygdala's job, is to raise the alarm. So here it is. Here's the first one. Pop it up. Fright. Second finger. Throw it back. Flight. Try to get away. Third finger. Fight. Try to get rid of the threat by fighting it. Then there's two more, strong and powerful. Hide, seek. Hide, seek. It's not a game. It's a way to survive. I hide from the threat. I seek to get away from the threat. 5 reactions and motions to go with them. So what are the needs human beings have? 5 of them. Intake, output. Now notice how it's intake, output. Now those can be waste products, but they can also be other, like speech is output. Intake is listening. And then there's output. Humans need to speak to get their needs met, and they also have to listen. So there's also things like you put in fluids and you get leftovers. So input, output. But there's also energy flow. Human beings are meant to have an energy flow, circadian rhythm, 24-hour cycle. Energy's up, energy's down, energy's in, energy's out. The more consistent and rhythmic the pattern, the healthier the human being. We have to get those needs met. We have to get sleep. We have to get rest. We have to have something we do that burns fuel, or why bother putting fuel in? So in and out. And fuel. How do you burn it? Rhythms. These two, the 5 needs, so in, out, energy flow, which includes wake and sleep. Then we have over here, humans seek to be comfortable. We don't want to be uncomfortable. So we think we need things, and we do need things. 4 F's, 4 S's. I need a place to feel friendly. I need it to be familiar. I want it to be functional. And most of all, it has to be forgiving for me to get comfortable there. People who are friendly, familiar, functional, and forgiving. Check. But there are 4 S's as well. It has to be the right social match with me. It has to be the right sensory match with me. It has to be the right space. I have to like the space. I won't want to be there. I won't be comfortable. Familiar space, space that's mine, space that's shared, space that I understand. It's enough space, it's not enough space. Intimate space, personal space, public space. All those are different. And then this last one, sensory, but it's different. It's surface to surface contact. It turns out that surfaces are really important to human beings. Clothing on my skin, glasses on my face, hearing aids in my ears, the surface that I sit on, the surface that I walk on, the surface that I work on, the feel of something in my hand. Fabrics matter, but so does skin and air temperature and air movement and water and surface to surface contact. So it turns out humans need things and they want to feel comfortable. Now, the last one, the 5th one in this combination, imagine someone taking your little finger and breaking it off backwards. What do humans need? Avoid pain. Humans do not want pain. Pain is bad. We want to avoid pain. And so humans seek to avoid pain, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, social pain, spiritual pain, mental pain. So when it becomes painful, we'll go to our amygdala strategies. Fright, flight, fight, hide, seek. People don't want pain because I need to be pain-free. So I'll do what I can to get rid of the pain. Now, that was a lot of hand movements. Hopefully, by going over them like this, you might find it helpful to take the information in. So while you were watching me, I hope you were starting to move your own hands, starting to figure out how can you hold on to this information. When we get together another time, I'll go over the cortical brain parts and how I use my hands to talk about those. But for right now, I think we've covered enough. Take a deep breath and let it go, and then see what you can remember. and see what you could try. Because the only way you get better at this is to rehearse. The more often you use the synapses, the more easily you use the synapses. I don't even have to think that much about doing it. So my brain is not actively engaged in the movements. It just does what it does because it knows how. And that's cerebellar. It's a habit for me. How did I catch myself when I said thalamic, but I was moving my index fingers? Because my cerebellar brain said, that's not right. And it kicked the message forward. My amygdala went, oh, you're giving wrong data. And it's like, oh, that's not good. All right, I remember. And then I went to quick cortical correct, back into action. Once you understand how brains work, they become fascinating. And once they're fascinating, you can get curious about things that used to scare you. Why? Because now you have awareness. Hope it was helpful. Take care with your care and take care of yourselves. And let me know if you found this to be what you were looking for or not, because I can go do other things if you'd rather. But if this is something that you actually want more of, please let me know, because I can only do what you asked me to do. I could do something different, and sometimes I do. But today was about trying to meet a need that was expressed. So thank you for being curious and interested and wanting to learn more. I love it. Thanks, everybody. Take care.